Okay, this tutorial will show you the difference between a high dynamic range image, like that produced with a RED camera, and what I would call a regular image, that's your consumer camera, the type of camera that we'll be using for our demonstrations for doing the subway. With a lot of cameras, if you're shooting stills, you can have the option of shooting both RAW and JPEG. Like right here, you'll see the raw image, ARW, that's this one, or a JPEG image like this. Now they look identical, don't they? And really, either one of these at this particular setting would be fine for making your movie with. But let's pick one that has a lot more dynamic range or a lot more contrast between brights and darks and show you the difference. Okay, so here is an image where it's got a lot of contrast in it. I'm photographed in relatively dark shadow area here and well exposed for that, but the background is burning out. And this is the RAW version, and this is the JPEG version. So let's try to correct the RAW version by changing the exposures to see what we can see out in this blown out area here. If I drop this down, I go in complete silhouette, yet you're able to see the sky and all the trees in the background there. So it's quite impressive that you can do that with this type of shot. And if I go over to Photoshop and try to do the same thing, this is the JPEG version. And if we just do image adjustment of brightness, and we lower the brightness and look at the image, you'll find that there is just nothing there. The sky doesn't go blue, it just goes gray. So let's say okay, and let me do it again with the brightness, darkness. And it's just, there's nothing there. It just starts to crystallize here, and it's just nasty. So, is that a terrible drawback? Not really, because you're going to be making sure that all of your exposures stay within this range here. And you can make a perfectly good movie using what would be 8-bit color. In other words, you can get 60 million colors out of it, and you have a range of brightness between 0 and 255 in brightness. And that is plenty of contrast to handle a range between a white piece of paper and a black piece of paper and all the grays in between. So it's a very pleasing image. You just can't have something with extreme contrast. So next we'll talk a little bit about color. So here is an illustration, a very complex looking image, but don't be frightened. This is taken from an excellent book written by Victor Perez called Color Management Handbook for Visual Effects Artists. And to explain color very simply, what you're seeing here is called a chromasticity diagram. This horseshoe shape of color is mapping all the colors that the human eye can see. And it was done in the 30s, and it still remains good today. And the challenge for any kind of medium, being it paint on canvas or being a photograph done on film or a photograph done digitally, the challenge has been how can you capture all the colors in nature that the human eye can see and capture them and also reproduce them. And these little triangles that cut into the large patch of color there are called gamuts. And basically it says, oh, okay, with our particular gamut, this triangle here is like the gamut that you would be using called sRGB or Rec 709. Rec 709 means it's color that's used for video, and sRGB is color that's used for stills, but they're pretty much identical. So they're synonymous, which is handy for you because it means you can shoot still images off on reel, and they'll be in sRGB color space, and also the series of those images will be in Rec 709. And your live action that you're shooting um, with the proper format will be also in Rec 709. So everything will talk to itself together. You'll see down here we have a Rec 2020. So Rec 709 and sRGB, they were perfected in the 90s. And this is how much color out of the graph we could reproduce using that system. Rec 2020, you get a much larger triangle. And that seems like, wow, that's so much better. Well, it is. But if you stay within this color range, you can get perfectly good images, and it's all going to work very easily and work together. So that is why I recommend, if you're a beginner and a filmmaker and don't want to get deep into color science, just use Rec 709 and sRGB to do all your color management for you. The reason the book to the left here that Victor wrote is so important is in a professional world, you've got all of these different formats and color spaces and gamuts that have to talk to each other for making major motion pictures. And the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences has come up with a process called ACES, which actually has placeholder numbers for this huge gamut of every single color that the human eye can see. So as technology improves and we get better cameras and better projection systems, as that gamut gets wider and wider, we will be able to have a placeholder for it. So for now, we have numbers for Rec 709 and we have numbers for Rec 2020. And if someone shoots their movie on this color space and another movie on that color space, there are ways to make them all agree and talk to each other that can be quite complicated to deal with. But if you're just starting out and you're totally confused by color, just remember those two things: sRGB, Rec 709, happy, and everything will go well.